My name is Rebecca and I'm the Industry Programs Coordinator here at TIC-SA. I'm very excited today to be presenting the 2023 SA Tourism Awards information session. I hope you've all come back from either a very busy or very relaxing break over the Christmas New Year period. I'm sure a lot of our operators would have had a very busy time as well. But it's really great to have so many of you joining us online, feeling hopefully refreshed, but obviously very motivated because you're here and interested in entering the Tourism Awards for this year. Today I am joined by Linda Lacey, who is our Policy and Programs Manager here at TIC-SA. I'm also joined by Consultant Tourism Specialist Extraordinaire, Amanda Dalton-Winks, who is also an expert judge and has been for many years for this program. And we've also got Jessica Keys from Keys Family Wines in the Barossa, who entered the Tourism Awards last year and came out with a silver medal. So before we get stuck into things, I'd firstly just like to stop and take the time to acknowledge that today I'm hosting this webinar on the lands of the Kaurna people. I also acknowledge the traditional custodians of the lands that all of you are zooming in from today. I pay my respect to elders past, present and emerging, and celebrate the diversity of the First Nations peoples and their ongoing cultures and connections to the lands and waters of South Australia that we all live on today. So before we get started, please just make sure that your microphones are off. If you do have a question, we will have chances throughout the session to open up for questions. Please just pop them into the chat functionality and we'll be addressing them during specified times and we'll be answering them direct. This session's also being recorded. So just for your reference, this is going to be sent out afterwards. So you'll be able to watch back if you have to duck out or if you'd like to share this with anyone in your team. And we'll aim to wrap up at 3 o'clock today. So what are we covering today? So firstly, we're just going to talk about the program, what the Tourism Awards actually are, if you haven't entered before, and Linda will be talking very briefly to that and essentially what its purpose is. We'll also be talking to the benefits of entering the program. It's really a program like no other. So we'll talk about what you actually get out of it. We'll talk about what's involved. So Amanda will be bringing her judging lens into this piece and just going over every single part of the written submission, along with how the judges actually look at your submission and some top tips from her perspective. We'll quickly go over some of the changes for 2023. Not everything has been locked in at this stage, so just keep that in mind, but the potential changes for this year we'll just briefly go over. And we'll also get to hear from Jessica from Keys Family Wines, just to hear her motivations, why she entered last year, what it was like, and most importantly as well for her, what it's like to win a silver medal. So we'll get right into it. Cool, so our guest speakers today. Before we get started, let's quickly watch a video on the gala dinner for 2022, just to get you all excited for this year.
So this was the third time that we have entered the awards, and we've found it such a useful experience for our business to really critically evaluate what we're doing and why we're doing it and what our ambitions are for the future.
Fantastic vibe here tonight. It was great to see a really broad range of cross-section of the different industries get back together after a couple of years break, and everyone had a wonderful time.
You can see it from the night, the energy in the room. What it does is people connect with each other, and that's what our industry is all about. It's a people industry. Tonight typifies that. You've got this amazing group of passionate people in the room that are connecting and drawing energy from each other to get back out there and keep going hard in their business.
The Tourism Awards participation is all about reflection on the year behind you and looking forward to what's ahead. So it's really exciting to be able to work out the collaboration between other people and what your customers think of you.
You're already a winner just being a part of the process. And certainly if you get the opportunity to win, it's just an amazing feeling. It's an adrenaline rush like nothing else.
My favourite part is always the speeches from the operators, that the passion, the enthusiasm, the heart that people show when they talk about their journey and their business.
The awards are really well attended, so it's a really great way if you're a big contributor within the industry to give back, but it's also a great way to network.
The support that I got from TIC SA, from Sean all the way down, was just amazing, and they made me feel welcome.
Doing the awards is a lot of work and you need to know that going into it, but it really is worth it. It isn't just about awards that you might win on the night, it's about going through that process and thinking about why you do the things that you do. And this gives us a lot more of a fun way to do that than sitting down in a traditional business planning meeting.
It's such a good thing to be a part of. Your business will benefit, and it's a great opportunity to celebrate South Australian tourism industry.
Excellent. Such a fun night, tourism night of nights. It's a big one, but more importantly, how we actually get to the gala dinner. It's a lot of work. So let's take it from the top. I'll hand over to Linda now just to give you a bit of background information on the Tourism Awards program.
Thanks, Rebecca, and good afternoon, everyone. I'm here today stepping in. Sean de Bruin, our fearless CEO, is usually headlines this information session, but he's currently out meeting with industry. So I'm here to give you just a little bit of a background on how the South Australian Awards program actually fits into a bigger awards program. As you can see on the slide, it is a national program that's delivered by the Australian Tourism Industry Council. And each state delivers the same awards program, other than a couple of minor tweaks around two sort of individual categories. And everything else is exactly the same. And all the gold medalists from last year's awards will shortly be in Sydney on the 17th of March, vying against those other states for the National Tourism Awards ceremony. As Rebecca has said as well, it is an awards program like no other. It's not just a tick and flick. And as you know, she's also said, and as has been alluded to in that video as well, it is a real business development and excellence program, and it really requires you as an entrant to really reflect on your business development and your operations over the submission period, and really examine how this has enabled you to be an outstanding tourism business, how it's a demonstration of you as a tourism business and of the quality experience that you provide to your to visitors. It may sound daunting, and I think someone in that video said it is a huge amount of work, and yes, it is a very intense program. But as Mark also said in that video, we do offer a high level of support here at TIC SA, and Rebecca will become your best friend over the next several months leading up towards that final sort of submission date. And the rest of the team at TIC SA is also here to support you through. We actually want this to be a really positive and rewarding experience. I commend everyone who enters the awards. Last year was the first time I got to see it from this side, and I think that it's just really outstanding how you as businesses put your hand up to participate in this program each year. At TIC SA, we really value the role that we play in delivering these awards for our industry, and also too, we really relish the opportunity that it gives us to celebrate your success as an entrant, and that's regardless of whether you win or not. So thank you for enabling us to bring this program to you as an industry, and for being part of a program that just helps build South Australian tourism businesses to be the best in Australia.
Thanks, Linda. Some really great and wise words. And just to reiterate what Linda's just said, I'd just like to point you towards some 4 key points of entering the Tourism Awards. So firstly, we say it time and time again, but it's that real chance to review and reflect on your business and what you've achieved. It's not very often that you really sit down and spend so much time looking at what you've actually achieved in the qualifying period or the last 12 months or however long it's been. You just don't get that opportunity anywhere else. So just being able to invest that amount of time and energy into looking back at your achievements is one of those key benefits of entering. Once you have a look at what you've achieved and thinking about things that you'd like to improve moving forward, you're really identifying those opportunities to keep developing your business. And as Linda says, this program, as a collective, we're only improving the industry. If you look at yourself and look at your business, we're just giving visitors to South Australia the best possible experience that they can have. And the more we improve it and the more we get to go on the national stage, we all know that we're in the industry because we're proud of South Australia and what we have and what we deliver. So really identifying those opportunities within your business can only help the whole industry improve. As a business entering the Tourism Awards, you get a panel of, and Amanda will go through this as well, but you get a panel of 3 judges looking at your written submission. And essentially from that review by those judges, you get pages worth of feedback on business development, customer service, and they all come from different fields, different backgrounds of expertise and experience. So they'll give you what they have to say about your business. It'll be constructive. Usually it's very, very positive, but also they'll have a few points from their experience that they'll be able to guide you and perhaps give you insights into things that you haven't looked at before. Of course, it's a celebration. We've got the great gala dinner at the end of the year in November, but it's really a chance for you to celebrate what you've achieved. At the end of the process as well, you've got 10,000 words written all about your business. So, you've got that tangible item to hold on to and go, we've done this, we can celebrate this, share it with your team. It's really amazing how quickly you can get up to 10,000 words writing just about your business. You'll be surprised. It sounds really daunting, and it is, but you'll actually be really surprised how easy it is to get to that word count. And of course, there's ongoing benefits. So once you've got that 10,000 words, if you want to apply for a grant, a bit of funding, you've got something to work off of, which is really great. And of course, you've got lots of recognition if you become a finalist. If you do end up winning, there's so many benefits that will go into as well. And of course, you build great connections within the industry and with other key stakeholders as well. So, we could keep going, but I think those are kind of the 4 benefits of entering the awards. And notice that not one of them is just about winning, because we do believe that just entering itself is a win to begin with. So if you do end up scoring a medal, some of the ongoing benefits, you can see firstly, SATC supports this program and they create a plethora of just media exposure and connections. I know like Mark in the video, for example, has come to say, he's had heaps of opportunities since winning gold at the Tourism Awards because he's just had all this exposure from SATC, being an award winner, and having people come up to him with some amazing marketing opportunities as well. Really leverage, if you do win, even if you get finalists or even if you're just entering, leverage that status. You can see Wallaroo Holiday Park sharing their silver win, and you can see that they've got 900 likes on that post, 158 comments, 16 shares. Like the exposure that you get and the excitement from your visitors and from the industry really translates well on your online platforms as well. You get features, like I said, across SA Tourism's website, southaustralia.com, as you can see on the screen. Media partnerships with TIC-SA feature you in all sorts of media, including print, radio, online articles. You get recognised as a winner on the Trust the TIC platform, which is a consumer-facing platform that showcases all tourism operators who are accredited and winning of a tourism award across the nation. It opens up opportunities again to be involved in exciting projects. You get a chance, as Linda mentioned, to represent SA at the National Awards. So this year that's being held in Sydney. And after you go to that, you then get to be invited to an event at Government House to meet the governor and just recognise all the winners at both state and national level. So lots of ongoing opportunities as a gold winner or medalist. And just to recap on some of TIC SA's media and reach in 2022. So we had 35 media stories ranging from television to radio to online to print. The voters' choice component, which after we announced the finalists, they go into the draw to be the voters' choice winner. So we had almost 20,000 online votes, which was really quite phenomenal. Over 4,000 visits to the winners announcement on our page on TIC SA, and 91,000 reach on the winner announcement across socials, which is a huge number. We've also got 4,000 plus engagements on the winner announcements. So, you know, that's just testament to the comms that we do at TIC SA, and it would be difficult to collate all the numbers that you would have gotten as individual businesses, you know, sharing that you've won or entered the tourism awards. So the reach is really, really high with this program. So what makes a winner? Amanda will be going into some key tips from a judge, but I just thought I'd bring your attention to some of the variables that come into play. So obviously like I said, you're already a winner for even considering entering the tourism awards. I think if you enter, you're going to benefit regardless. But some variables that you should consider include, you know, competition, which is something that you don't really see until the finalists are announced. The judges, obviously they're briefed on how to judge, but they all come again from different backgrounds. So the way that they judge differ from each other. How you operate as a business, you know, what your business actually is, the time invested into the tourism awards, how you answer the questions, and how much of the support that we have on offer that you actually engage with. So there are just some of the variables that really come into play and really help you become a winner. I won't read all of these, but these are the categories, and I apologize, I think my Zoom is blocking off the bottom of the page there. But there are 26 categories. The accessible excellence in accessible tourism, which is just down at the bottom of the screen, we've previously run as a state-only category, but it's actually opening up to nationals. So just take a look at these categories, see what you fit into best. I do suggest going onto the TIC SA website and having a look at the 2022 category criteria, just to familiarize yourself with the questions. As I mentioned, they will be changing slightly as they do most years, but just if you are really thinking about entering, start to think which category you'd like to enter. And of course, if you want to have a look at what your competition might be like, look at our website again and go onto the past winners and see who you might be competing up against too. So I am going to hand over to Amanda, one of our judges and team leaders of one of the team judging teams, just to go through each single part of the written submission. So thank you so much, Amanda, for your time and for joining us today to take us through this.
Thanks, Rebecca, and hi everyone. Thanks for joining us today. It's pretty exciting to get an early start on it this year because the time is really valuable for preparing for your submission. So let's get into it. The screen that is up at the moment, the slide that's on your screen, tells you a bit about the breakdown of the submission and what the various things are worth. So 10,000 words again this year, worth 70%. This does vary a little bit over some of the categories, so it's not set in stone, but generally 70% for the submission, 20% for your consumer rating, 10% for your online review, 25 supporting images allowed across the entire submission, and you'll also have a site verification visit from the judge who's allocated to you. So you can enter more than one category. I strongly recommend if it's your first time entering, really consider just entering one category for the first year. If you have entered previously and you feel like you cover more than one category, go for it. You've already got your template in place, so it's going to be a lot more achievable for you to do it well. The main thing, if you do enter more than one category, is to concentrate on the category that best reflects your business. And if you are entering more than one category, work on that submission first. Make sure that if you do more than one submission, you are focusing on the specifics of each category question, and each of your submissions is quite unique to that category. Don't just replicate it, because you won't earn the points that you are hoping for. So now on to the next slide. We will be, oh, sorry, I actually did have a little bit more to cover on categories. Sorry, Rebecca, if we can just go back. I have jumped ahead of myself. Categories. So we've covered that the word count is 10,000. It's broken down into 6 sections with 2 to 3 sub-questions. Actually, I think responsible tourism is down to 1 sub-question this year. As Rebecca said, that's not finalised yet. Today we're just covering an overview, and you'll get a lot more detail in the how to enter workshops that will come later in the year. So with your submission, the main thing, regardless of category, is to keep a tourism focus. This is a tourism award, not a business award or anything else. So just make sure you're keeping that focus and tying it back to tourism every time you possibly can. Don't assume reader knowledge of your business or region. So think about the big picture. Think about someone who's not familiar with our state, let alone your business. That will be invaluable if you do get to nationals. You may have an interstate judge marking your submission at that level who may know not much at all about South Australia. So keep that one in mind. Rebecca will cover more on the consumer rating and online review components. The main thing to remember is to make sure you are responding to your online reviews from today. Make those responses timely and demonstrate really good conflict management if you do happen to get an unfavourable review. That will all be looked at come submission time. So get on top of that sooner rather than later. Site visits. Not all of the categories have a site visit, but for those who do, the judges come and experience your business as a customer tourist visitor would. So, you know, make sure that you are providing them with all of the information that you would normally provide for any visitor who contacts you. We also look at Google, your reviews, check out Google Maps, look at your website, all of that sort of thing. So we really research it as though we are a consumer visiting your business, so treat it that way. Make sure you're prepared for that site visit. Check your nominee kit for any questions that you might have, and feel free to ask the site visit judge any questions that you have about the process if your visit falls before the submission is due. Right, so on to images now. The images can be any of those things on the screen, and they are in support to your written in support of your written content. So remember the old adage of a picture is worth 1,000 words. If an image with a great caption will be a more comprehensive way of making your point than writing a paragraph or two, consider, you know, looking at doing that and providing us with some really dynamic images that really showcase your business. Make sure they're relevant to the section and try to distribute them across the submission as well. Some sections lend themselves more to imagery than others, but even you know, a section that you think doesn't need images can benefit from a graph or a table or something, you know, something similar to convey that information in a different format. As I said, make sure that you're using captions on your images. We did have a change with how images were uploaded to the portal last year, which made things a bit easier for us all. I think there are some more changes coming as well. But if you have any problems working out how to upload your images or add your captions, give Rebecca a yell. She's more than happy to help you navigate your way through that. The other thing with images, where it is photos of experiences or your business or what have you, look at using collages of related images rather than individual images. That can be a really effective way of telling a story very cohesively. Don't crowd the collage with a lot of images. I would say maybe 5 tops, but if they're related and they've got a great caption to join them together, that can be really, really worthwhile. Now, tables. If in doubt, use a table is the caption I've got on my notes here. I think we go on to the next screen for this one. So the tables really help to convey your information clearly and concisely. If you have a look at the guidebook when it's available, that will let you know which questions are recommended for using a table in. Be very aware though that the text in your table is included in the word count. Don't think that you can drop it into a table and you know, get around the word count that way. I know some of you will be thinking 10,000 words, that's plenty, but there are a lot of people who find that they are having to cull words at the end of the process because they've found, sometimes to their surprise, that they've got so much to say. So table, really good way of doing it, but it is counted in the overall word count. With tables, make sure you're including measurable outcomes wherever possible. So use those SMART goals, which we'll go into in more detail in the how to enter session later in the year. Make sure you're using quantifiable evidence wherever possible, because that is going to back up those statements, and use a separate column for your results or outcomes. So that's, in a nutshell, your tips on a table. So on to the next slide. Our key submission sections. You'll see there, it's actually 5 sections that you will attract points for. There is also the pre-introduction, really, the business impacts section that has been introduced over the last couple of years in response to the pandemic and natural disasters. So the point, the point scoring sections on the previous slide, you'll see how much each of those are worth. And let me see whether I've got any other points to make there. They each have sub-questions, between 1 and 3 sub-questions. And yeah, I think that's largely it for that one. So let's go on to the business impact summary. So this is morphed again a little bit this year. It's now business impact summary. Some of the previous entrants will know this as the COVID impact summary, because the effects on business have broadened and been impacted by so many other factors over the last few years. We've obviously done a bit of a rejig on that, and I'm sure a lot of you will have a lot to say in that section. The main thing you need to keep in mind with this is that you keep those answers short, succinct. Dot points are recommended. You're just providing a judge with a thumbnail sketch of the background of what your business has dealt with over the qualifying period. Of course, the qualifying period being 1st of July 2022 to 30th of June 2023. So anything that falls within there, tell us the story about in answer to those sub-questions. This section's not included in your word count or your score. As I said, brief answers in dot point format. Factual information, not subjective or opinion or any of that sort of thing. It doesn't need to be too much storytelling. It's just the facts. Aim for a positive approach where you possibly can, though, because that could be your differentiating factor. Tell us how you've risen to those challenges and turned the crisis into opportunity wherever possible. It also is an opportunity to give us the impression of how agile your business has been able to be. And let us know whether any of those impacts have had an effect on your operational times. Okay, so next slide, we're going on to the introduction section. So this is your big picture overview. This is where you set up the story of your business. Sorry, I've got a fly who's decided to drop in. Big picture overview. So your who, what, where, when, how, and why. Tell us the story of your business, how it evolved, who owns it, who operates it, who your key staff are, all of those sorts of things. You need to make sure that you are demonstrating eligibility for your category. So very clear alignment with whatever category you are entering. You'll also have in that second sub-question the opportunity to tell us a bit about the key features of your business plan. Now, this is just top line information. You will go into more detail on that in the next section, which is the business planning. And then finally, you need to tell us about how your business demonstrates tourism excellence. So talking about any awards, accolades, accreditation, how you work with other tourism businesses for the benefit of your region, how you support people in the industry, for example, students, that sort of thing. So next slide, I'm sorry about this fly, I'm doing battle with it. Next slide, we're going on to business development. And this one is worth 15 marks this year, telling us about the innovations and enhancements you've made to improve your business. And then the second sub-question, talking about the outcomes. So talking about the initiatives, goals and strategies that you may have touched on in the introduction, building on those key attributes of your business plan from the introduction and telling us in a bit more detail. Great place to use tables here, and those SMART goals, once again with quantified evidence of those outcomes. So there are a few other pointers that we'll get into in the How to Enter workshop when we get to that. But in this section, demonstrate your journey. What prompted any changes you've made? Was there a specific challenge? What research and planning did you do to justify undertaking this initiative? Goodness me. Why you made the changes? Was there a specific aim that you were going for? How they align with your business strategies? How it enhanced your business offering, and make sure you're including measurable and anecdotal information there. And once again, imagery can be a really great way to strengthen that section and reinforce those points. So we're going on to the marketing question next. So question 3. Once again, worth 15 marks. You will basically be starting this section by telling us a little bit about your target markets. Tell us about who you are pitching your product to, or which market sectors are the best fit for your business, and then go on to talking about the strategies that you use to either start a conversation with new customers, maintain a conversation with existing customers, and how your product addresses their needs and motivations. Motivations to visit, rather. Why does your product appeal to them? How are you communicating with them? What innovations have you introduced that have meant that you're doing things differently compared to previous years? Marketing strategies, I think we're fairly well covered on that. The one thing I will add to that is wherever possible, make sure you're aligning to your local, regional and the state tourism strategies. So use those as your research resources and make sure you're demonstrating alignment wherever possible. National strategy obviously is also a great one to incorporate if it is relevant to your business. But certainly those local, regional and state marketing plans are imperative. Measurable outcomes, when you're talking about the outcomes of those strategies. So make sure you're using figures, numbers, and once again, you could potentially use a table here to lay that information out clearly and concisely. And now we'll go on to customer experience. Once again, worth 15 marks. And we're talking here about how you provide quality customer experiences, and not just when your visitors are at your premises or on your tour or whatever. How do you deliver an exceptional customer experience from the first time they've heard of you, whether it's online or word of mouth or through reviews, etc., social media, through to the time of their visit, after their visit, and how you follow up. So it's the end-to-end process, and customer journey mapping can be a really great way of structuring this so that you know which areas you're addressing in answer to each of these questions. Consider your service standards and the overall experience that your visitors are having with you. So monitoring and assessing your customer satisfaction levels over reviews, feedback, etc., and describing the inclusive practices that you're using across the business. So consider a range of inclusive practices, so not just physical and intellectual, cultural, language, LGBTQI+, people travelling with kids, pets, smokers even. You know, how do you address each of those customers' needs when they're visiting you. You can also relate them back to your target markets. So, for example, if one of your target markets is families with kids, then you're going to address the needs of the parents and the children. So think about how your target markets inform the likely needs of your customers and visitors. An example, examples and or a case study are a great way to tell the story. If you've got an outcome that was just wins all round, smiles all round from your visitors, and you received great feedback from them, tell us the story in a paragraph if you can, or use the customer quote if it's a great quote of how you were able to meet their needs. So I think that's fairly much covered that one. If we go on to the next slide, which is the responsible tourism. Now, it looks like this question has been restructured again this year to just one question within it. Correct me if I'm wrong there, Rebecca, but it looks as though it's rather than being separated out to the 3 sub-questions it was last year, it's now one question, and you can, I think, tell your story much more effectively with just this one question rather than having to fit into those sub-questions. So you're talking about a range of things that you do within your business to make it sustainable, and how you deliver your product responsibly. So it could be anything from environmental, water and waste, energy reduction, carbon emissions, reduction and reuse initiatives, land care, native vegetation, habitat regeneration, how you support the local community, employing local people, whether you have collaborative agreements with other businesses in the area, where your purchasing is primarily done. Do you buy local as the primary port of call for your supplies and needs? And also your ethical responsibilities. So things such as acknowledging Indigenous cultures, traditional owners, whether you work with any of the local Indigenous people, whether you tell their stories that have been generated by them with their permission, for example, and things like cultural inclusiveness, how you address people from different cultures who are either visiting or living in Australia. How do you adapt the way you welcome people into your business who are from different cultures, to make them feel welcome and make sure they enjoy your product. Heritage preservation and activation is also another great one to include in here if you are within an area that has built heritage or even environmental heritage and native flora and fauna. So I think we've covered a fair bit there of suggestions, but do have a think about what you would include in that responsible tourism section. And one of the things that I often suggest to do for people is to start on that question, because often people run out of steam towards the end of the submission. If you start with your responsible tourism and even start thinking now about what you do, you can make that answer very, very strong and give yourself a little bit of an advantage over other entrants. Right, so the judging process. We are a voluntary panel of industry professionals, not necessarily just tourism. There is a range of experience and expertise within the team. We judge these submissions in teams of 3. So each team has a team leader and 2 other judges as well. All 3 of us will read the submission and score independently and give feedback independently. And then we come together once all of the submissions are done to deliberate and discuss any differences that we may have in scoring, and you know, any factors that we've taken into account if there are differences. Your site visit feedback can be a deciding factor. If your final score is close to another competitor, it can come down to a difference between the site visit feedback for the 2 businesses. So once again, as I said before, make sure that site visit experience is, you know, as good as you can make it, as good as you would deliver to any of your other visitors or customers. The chair of judges oversees and adjudicates the judging process. So if we as team members have any discrepancies or anything that we can't come to an agreement on, the chair of judges will get involved and offer their expertise and experience to sort out any issues we may have. Doesn't really happen all that often these days, though. Usually the standard of submissions with all the support that TICSA gives is good enough that we, you know, do largely agree on what we're awarding, allocating points to. Once we've all had a look at the submissions and scored, it then goes to an independent auditor who checks and verifies all of the results. So it is quite a thorough and stringent process. It's not just a matter of, you know, someone looking at it subjectively and giving their opinion on your submission or your business. It is a group effort and very, very structured. What we're looking for in the submissions, keeping in mind that the submissions take about 2 hours each for us to judge and give feedback on. We can have 20 or more submissions to review. So make sure that you're making it as easy as possible for the reader, the judge, to find all the key information in answer to the questions. You know, keep in mind that you know, someone who's reading your submission may be the 3rd submission they're reading in an evening after work. Make it easy for them, make it enjoyable to read. Make sure you're hitting all of the key points of the question and you're actually answering the question. I cannot stress that one enough. So the other thing that can really help with the readability of your submission is if you ask an objective 3rd party, so a friend or family member who's not involved in the business, a trusted person who's not involved in the business, ask them to proofread your submission and make sure they can understand it easily and see that the questions have been answered effectively. And on to some tips for success here. The qualifying period, as we discussed earlier, is between the 1st of July 2022 and the 30th of June 2023. So from today, get proactive and gather as much information as you possibly can. I actually recommend getting a Dropbox folder, Dropbox account or Dropbox folder set up, or you can do it within your computer files, but set up a folder and set up subcategories, subfolders that align to each of the categories of the submission, and start gathering information and just dumping it into those folders so that you've got resources already in place for when you start writing. That way, you will get the motivation and momentum from the word go. Start early, get onto it as soon as you possibly can. Don't underestimate the amount of time it takes. Creating the timeline and self-imposed deadlines is a really good way of keeping yourself on track, and make sure you're using the nominee support. TICSA offers some great resources and support initiatives, so workshops, draft submission review, all sorts of things, and also Rebecca always on hand for anything that you can't find an answer to. So let me see, your first submission, if you are entering for the first time, your first submission will be a steep learning curve. So arm yourself, prepare yourself to give yourself the best possible chances of success. And that can be, you know, planning your time, making sure you've got your resources in place, do your research, alignment with those state and regional strategies is a great way to start getting everything in place in your mind's eye. Then, as I said earlier, in subsequent years, you'll be able to use the submission as a basic template of the things that you need to refresh and update, and what information you need to collect. So I think that's it. Oh, and the last point there is a great one as well. If you have entered previously, make sure you really do a deep dive on the judges' feedback and address anything there. And if you have any questions on that feedback, once again, you know, reach out to Rebecca. She may be able to put you in touch with someone who can talk you through it and give you examples of how it can be applied, etc. So I think that's it.
Thank you, Amanda.
Thank you.
My head is spinning. I know the process quite well now, but my head is spinning with all the tips that you've just given us. So
there'll be more of
much.
those when we do more of those when we do the how to enter. So
that's it. Thank you so much for your time and your knowledge with all of that. As Amanda mentioned, there's also the online review, which is 10% of your overall scoring. So I suggest after today's webinar, just have a look at what the judges are looking for, and apologies again on that box there, but have a look at your website. Does it have a clear call to action, whether you're an accommodation operator? Is there a big book now button? Stuff like that. You know, if you Google your business, is it the first one that comes up when you search for it? Your social media, you're posting at least once a week, if not more. Do you respond to your online reviews, as Amanda mentioned? One of the missing pieces I found for a lot of businesses entering last year, do you promote your region on your website in particular, or even your socials? That's a really important piece of the puzzle too. Are you listed on ATDW? Is another really important one. And are you on any other booking sites if that is relevant to you? So I suggest go straight from here onto your online presence now and see if you are a judge, do you hit all those points there? The other part, which was introduced a couple of years ago now, is the consumer rating, which is based on, because our site visits in SA aren't actually scored, they don't go towards any weighting. The consumer rating really takes into account reviews from your customers, and you do need to have at least 25 reviews within that qualifying period. So the 1st of July last year to the 30th of June 2023. So you need to at least have a minimum of 25 reviews. So if you don't have that, I suggest you implement a bit of a strategy within your business to get that amount of reviews by the end of June this year. Otherwise, your consumer rating score will come out as a 0, and that means you lose 25% of your weighting. So really important part of the process. Changes in 2023, I'm conscious of your time, so I'll just quickly go over all of these points. Accessible tourism is going national this year. So We'll have a bit more information on this later on, but when you do write your response to the responsible tourism section, you will be able to opt in to actually entering the accessible tourism section, category that way, or you can do a whole submission purely on accessible tourism. More to come, but it's very exciting that this category is getting the national recognition it deserves. We have the business impact summary taking over formally the COVID impact summary at the start of your submission. Tourism, retail, hire and services has changed. So it used to be tourism, retail and hire services. Now it's tourism, retail, hire and services. Very confusing, but it makes sense. It opens it up to a lot of different tourism operators. We'll have more of that criteria ready for you in the next couple months. There's a slight change to questions as always, like Amanda mentioned, there's a few different questions where there's 2 points rather than 3 now. Changes every year, but they're ever so slight. But again, it really makes you write from scratch and not just, copy and paste from last year's submission. There will be a change in pricing this year as well. So the baseline price will be $190 like previous years, like we have for many years, but there'll be change to pricing as well for non-members in particular, and some bigger businesses too, which will have more information on that shortly. And there's additional nominee support, which we'll go over soon. Now, quickly, we'll just go over some questions. Let's see. ATDW is the Australian Tourism Data Warehouse. Feel free to flick me through an email if you would like a bit more information on that, but that's essentially the website where southaustralia.com and quite a few other websites pull information about your business. So yeah, I'm happy to send some information after this as well if you'd like further info. Now we'll quickly go over some key dates. So expressions of interest are now open, so you can register. We'll send these slides and you can click on this button here and you'll be able to register your interest for further comms. Nominations open on the 22nd of March and they close on the 14th of June. So you've got a lot of time to nominate, but start writing early, like Amanda mentioned, and don't leave it to the last minute. Your written submission is due on the 14th of August. So you've got plenty of time, but it certainly creeps up. Nominations and submissions are submitted via the Quality Tourism Framework portal. If you're not familiar with it, feel free to touch base with me and I can take you through a Zoom of the portal. If you have entered before, then you're probably very familiar with it. That's just the portal. So that's the first kind of page that you'll go onto. All you have to do is click on that middle section there on the View More Detail button. That'll take you to nominate. If you're not accredited, then you do need to answer a series of additional questions by the 27th of July. But that's essentially a pathway to becoming accredited. So I suggest if you have enough time, get accredited now, because that's something else that you can include as a business improvement that you've achieved. And you won't have to fiddle with all those questions down the track while you're also writing 10,000 words. Same applies for non-stars rated businesses. If you're an accommodation operator, you will need to answer some additional questions as well. So now's a good chance to get star rated. So essentially, if you're not a TIC-SA member, I would highly suggest you join as one. You do get discounts on the nomination fee and the gala dinner tickets. Become accredited, as I mentioned, that'll save you a lot of extra effort down the track. And if you're an accommodation operator, get stars rated. And of course, if you are accredited, access your Review Pro account now and get familiar with it. I can take you through a 30-minute session of that if you'd like as well. We've got a number of nominee support, I must say. I think TIC-SA in South Australia in particular offers some of the most levels of support for our nominees. So I highly recommend once this is rolled out, you take part in this. It's really valuable stuff to just get some support from TIC-SA. We've got a range of judges who also take part in the Ask the Expert sessions where you get a one-on-one with them online, and we'll also be including a mentoring program again this year where we'll have a mentor look at your draft submission and really give you some high-level feedback on that. So that's essentially a very quick outline of the nominee support. I know we're running out of time, so I think before we end, just to get you all motivated, let's hear from Jessica Keys from Keys Family Wines to quickly run us through some of the amazing opportunities and benefits that she's had from just becoming a silver medalist in the Tourism Awards last year. Is Jessica there?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Okay, awesome. Thanks so much. And what an awesome session. How cool was that to see all the tips from the judge already? It's exciting for this year. It's just started raining here, so the roof is like making a lot of rain noise, so I hope that's okay. So I might just introduce myself, I guess. My name is Jess, and my family business is Keys Family Wines, and we run a fun and inclusive tourism centre here in the Southern Barossa Valley. And we offer sort of complimentary wine tasting, and we also we have a family-friendly cafe which sort of fills that void in between the platters and the high-end dining that we offer here in the Barossa Valley. So, and we in 2022 we were just blown away to win a silver medal. Chances are a lot of the people on this call probably haven't heard of us, or we're quite a small player in the tourism space. So we were, I mean, I'm still just shocked about it, to be honest. And so Rebecca sent me a few things that just to run through quickly. So our sort of motivation for entering, we entered in 2019, and another really big player in the tourism space in Barossa won that year. So I wasn't really going to enter again because I thought, well, we're tiny, we're this small business, and I just didn't think that we would ever have a chance against the big guys, I thought. But I spoke to Bridget from Barossa Helicopters. She's my cousin. She's amazing. And I've got a beautiful staff member, Nat, who's gone through the process a couple of times. And she's like, and they both said, look, you should do it. Just do it. And so we did. And when we got the silver announcement at the gala dinner, I just couldn't speak for like 10 minutes. I could not believe that we won. Well, we got a silver medal, and a huge congratulations to Kim Bolton for their award. Amazingly deserving too, and also another smaller, one of the smaller guys. So that was really cool to see. So a couple of the support things that I really sort of engaged with during the process of writing the submission. The best one, I just logged on and watched one of it as like an online seminar, sort of like this, like a webinar, and somebody was talking about how to, write with passion and write with flair and be yourself. And I like the penny just dropped, and I was like, we are who we are, and that's okay. You just I think in 2019 I tried to write like a really clinical, cut and dry, this is what we're achieving, and and that's great. But I think after I watched that video, I was just like, okay, I'm going to tell our story, like the good, the bad and the ugly. I'm going to tell everything, the journey, because we're all in business. We know it's hard. We all go through those hard times. So I tried really hard, like I'm nearly crying now. It's how I wrote it. I was actually in tears multiple times writing it, because showing that journey was so important. It was like, I was quite often writing these stories almost like it was a little bit cathartic in a way, because we all went through COVID. We went through a pandemic. We went through things that we none of us ever thought we would go through. So, adding those stories in was really amazing. And I think watching those support videos really helped, because you can read another submission, but I think it's when you hear somebody give you permission to just be you and write from your heart. I think that was really, that's what changed it for me. The other thing, the booklet that comes along for the submission, I literally printed that out, and every time I was writing, I was looking at it. Am I covering the question? And also, Rebecca, seriously, I don't know how you respond to so many emails in such a quick time. I mean, like, what is there, 26 categories, and there'd be how many people in each? I don't know how you do it, honestly. Like, I think I looked back and I reckon there was never more than a 12-hour delay in your response. I just don't know. So yeah, amazing, and really great at helping with, like, you know, just answering questions that you think, oh, you know, am I understanding this right? And then the next thing that we were asked to cover is basically what we got out of it. So personally for me, we report month to month, and things were looking really good month to month. It was all going really well. But to do that year on year and see those results stack up, I just remember sitting there thinking, like, I personally, my little girl's only 2, so I'm still kind of adjusting to that whole thing of having a family business and having a kid, and, you know, to see the results, it was just inspiring. And I thought, I would never have done it. I would never have looked at those results. I just wouldn't have. I would have been reporting month to month and going, this is great. But to look at, you know, everything from reviews to financials to visitation to everything, to lay all that out, and to see that every little thing that you do every day making such a big difference was just incredible. And I think that was one of the greatest things I got out of it. It just gave me that inspiration to just keep going. You know, we are doing something here, so keep going. We're on the right track, you know. The other thing was the exposure. It was crazy. So I think we put up a post on Facebook to say that we got silver. We didn't even win, but we got like 530 likes, and, you know, we wrote media releases. We got local media around it. I think also because we are such a small company, I think just having our name up against some of the other names in that list, like that's incredible. And just like from a direct result, I can't sort of quantitatively say that this is a direct result of the awards, but in November, which was the month where we announced our win, and then we ran a campaign with Shop Local, and we did quite a lot of activity around it. We saw a 68% increase in sales year on year in November, which was just crazy. And since then, we've been able to secure a spot on the itinerary of 3 new tour operators, which some of them are daily. It's like, you know, it's very tangible. It's not just like, oh, you know, you get this exposure. That it's you know, this is like, these are real results coming in. And the other thing that we got out of it was the team building. So we have the most beautiful people on our team. They're like the best people ever. And above our door, we have a sign that says striving to be the best and the friendliest cellar door in the Barossa Valley. And that's what they do every day. But to see it all put together, and then for us to all to be sitting around a table at that gala night, and for them to get that recognition was just so, so special. I mean, we've all been through COVID where, you know, staffing's been really hard and all of that. And so for those guys to get that, I think it's really, really been valuable. And they understand the why of what we do. They understand that we offer a really unique tourism experience here in the Barossa, and probably even statewide. So they know what they're doing. They're behind it now. They understand it, and because they've had that recognition, they are the most passionate, friendly, fun people ever. And I'm so, so proud. I mean, I just left, I'm over in the Barrel Hall now, but I just left over there. The place is packed and they're all having a laugh and having a great time. So they're amazing. And then we had, I just wanted to cover off some of the tips that, which, like, it's exactly what you guys said pretty much. So I won't go into it too much, but I had here that we would, a really good thing to do would be to start early and then gather the info throughout the year. So we actually have a folder, a hard copy folder where, you know, where you get a certificate to say thanks for donating this or that. We're just collating all of that in there for now. And we've also got email folders within our email clients, which we just file things for the TICSA Awards, which was really like that would have helped a lot last time. The starting early thing, I mean, I wish I did that. I didn't, and I ran really late and I underestimated how much work was needed. And once it's like one of those things, you start writing it and then you go, oh no, like, you know, I've got 5 days, like this is going to be one of those like uni weeks where you just don't sleep. But anyway, I'm going to try and start early this year. I say that, but you know, hopefully I can. And one of the main things I tried to do this year was I just tried to really be myself. So, you know, I was sitting there typing it and I'd be, you know, crying my eyes out because I'd be so proud of the wines my brother makes, or so proud of my parents for all that. Oh, here he is now. Don't tell him I said that. I'd be so proud of like the work that my parents have put in over the years, and so proud of my grandpa and this, you know, his story and the way he wanted us to run the business and the fact that we're doing that. And I'd be so proud of everything and just writing that. And like, I just, you know, I wanted this year to just write everything from the heart. So like when COVID hit, we really, our business plan was quite flawed because we've been relying on, at 90% of our wine sales are direct to customer, which is fine, but you need that steady flow of customers coming into your business to be able to sustain that. So we were going to be stagnating if our cellar doors close, obviously. So Stephen Marshall's on the TV saying, oh, all cellar doors are closed as of tomorrow. And then the next segment, the very next segment was the queues in Dan Murphy's and how, and we don't sell our wines in bottle shops. We only sell them through our cellar door. So we were terrified, absolutely terrified. It's the first time our business had been closed in 37 years. And, you know, what I wrote in 2019, I would never have included that because I wouldn't have wanted to, I felt like I had to write a submission that was all the good because it was we wanted to win. But I felt like this time, no, I'm going to just tell the story and the journey and what we've had to do to shore up our business on the back of that and the changes that we made and all of that. So I think like just being really real and explaining that, you know, it's okay to make a mistake, just to learn from it and then try and communicate the results of what you've put in place after that and learn from it. And the other thing I wanted to say was exactly what you guys said, was like being memorable. I spoke to some beautiful judges at the gala dinner and they were like, yeah, we volunteers and we read 20 submissions. Like, I just thought, that's incredible. What like selfless people to do that, but also like really highlighted to me that we need to be memorable. We need to stand out and not just write the figures, but write the story. And then also using like reviews and stuff as evidence is a great way for that sort of left brain, right brain. So yes, there's these great figures, but here's some stories that customers have shared and they've said that they had a great time. You know, I thought that was something else. So yeah, that's all I wrote. I hope that's okay.
Thanks so much, Jess. Yeah, certainly a memorable submission. And yeah, you really wrote from your heart. Got goosebumps hearing about it right now. So well done again on your silver medal. And yeah, like we've said many times, no matter what, you know, accolade you get, regardless, entering just seems to have provided you with a lot of benefits to begin with. So yeah, thank you for sharing your insight. Now,
yeah, thanks for the invite. That's just really kind. Okay. There's people on this call today who are like my absolute gods in tourism. So I'm like a little bit imposter syndrome. So anyway, thank you so much.
All can learn from each other. Thank you, Jess. Excellent. Well, thank you everyone for joining us. I do apologize for running over time, but as you can tell, there's a lot of information to get through, and a lot of really positive experiences from the judges' perspective, and now an entrant/medalist. So I really hope you found the session useful, whether you've entered before or this is your first time. Just some quick takeaways. Consider the variables before you enter this year. Assess your goals and outcomes, gather all your numbers, determine your industry involvement, check your systems and processes, look at your involvement in the community, collect testimonials, and find examples to really back up your claims. And of course, we've said it before, start early, and please get in touch with myself or my team here at TIC SA for any advice. Look at those categories like I mentioned and start thinking about how you can start to answer those questions, and just wait for more information, including the set criteria that will be out very soon, and the pricing and all updates on 2023. These slides will be sent to you, so will this recording, and we'll also send a information sheet on how to prepare for 2023. Like I said, we're really excited to be running the program again this year, and really excited to support all of you who are entering on your business development journey moving forward. So we really appreciate you joining today, and again, apologies for running over time, but like I said, please get in touch if you have any questions, and we hope you enjoy the rest of the day. Thanks guys, take care.